What's up guys, my name is Josh Yergi. I built my company SmartRoof from zero to over $100 million in annual revenue. And today I want to share with you my story. I think a lot of times when people see someone's success, they just assume that it was luck or some external thing that magically happened to them and now they're successful. And I assure you that is the furthest from the truth. And the only thing that got me to where I am today is hard work and resilience and a positive mindset. And I want to share my story with you in a hope that it will inspire you to do the same thing. All right guys, so today I want to take a step back and really tell you my story, where I'm coming from, and why I think I can be so helpful to so many of you. And so I want to go back to my childhood and start there. So I grew up in a family of 5 boys. I'm the oldest of 5, and we were lower middle class at best. We were always struggling to meet basic financial needs for the family, struggling to pay rent, struggling to put food on the table. I remember several times where our church brought us food for the week because we didn't have anything. It was pretty common that we were eating oatmeal and hot dogs regularly as a family for dinner. And there were 7 of us, me, my mom, my dad, and my 4 brothers. And there's 8 hot dogs in a pack. So we would all get one, and then whoever could eat the fastest would get the last one. So that was the environment that I grew up in. There was always a lack of financial resources. Outside of that though, it was a very supportive environment. My dad was very entrepreneurial. Do things like when we were younger, we would get this magazine when I was a kid, Lego magazine, and we would always be asking him for toys that were in the magazine. And he would always tell us no, sorry, I can't afford that, or we can't afford that. But I remember one time we asked him for something, he was like, I can't afford it, but here's what we're gonna do. We're going to go to this local orchard and we're going to pick fruit, peaches, cherries, apples. We're gonna go sell it. There was a farmer's market near where he worked, and we're gonna go set up a table in the farmer's market, and you and your little brothers are going to sell fruit. And so we did that. It was pretty funny. We were making change. We didn't know how to make change. People would hand us $5 and we would give them back a 20. I remember things like that. But what it did was it taught us at a very young age that just because we couldn't afford something didn't mean that we couldn't find a way to afford it. That really continued throughout my life through high school and college. I went on to try and pursue becoming a professional athlete. I wanted to play soccer. I wanted to support my family and compete. I thought that professional athletes made a ton of money. Professional football was my dream first. So my parents were concerned that if I played football, I would get injured and they wouldn't be able to afford the hospital bill. But we will let you play soccer. So I took that up when I was probably 6, 7 years old. It's all right, well, I'll be a professional soccer player. And I chased that for the next 15 years. I ended up getting a scholarship and got into school. And then in the first week of training, I tore my ACL. My soccer career kind of tapered off from there. It progressively got worse and ended up not going professional. And after college, I kind of was looking around and saying, all right, well, now I've got all this student debt that I need to pay off. What do I do now? And the jobs that were hiring entry-level people, I was looking at, what they would pay, what the cost of living was. I was looking at all the student loans that I had racked up, and I was like, well, there's no way that I'm gonna be able to pay off these student loans with what these jobs are offering. But then there was another ad that was a sales ad. It said, sell windows, make 6 figures. So I went in for the interview, they hired me, and I learned how to sell windows. I really loved that company. I really believed in what they were doing. Thought it was the last place I would ever work. And I referred one of my brothers to work there. And after a few weeks of him working there, my boss called me into his office and was like, hey, what are you doing? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, started yelling at me, and he's like, I can't believe you would let us hire your brother. He's not picking up the script. He's not learning the job. Why did you refer him to work here? Why are you doing this to me? Corporate's up my ass, asking me to fire him. This is so awkward for me. And I was like, dude, relax, calm down. He's only been here a couple of weeks. He'll pick it up. He's a little bit of a slower learner. Don't worry, he'll be fine. I'll work with him. And he just kept going on and on and on about, why I did him a disservice referring my brother to work there. And I quickly realized that that company didn't actually care about me. I was just another number. In sales, if you don't believe in the company, you don't believe in the product, your production, your performance will taper off. You can't sell something that you don't believe in. So my sales tanked after that because I realized that they didn't actually care about me. I stopped believing in the product. I stopped believing in the company. It got to the point where I was so broke, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna go sell roofing on my own. I left, went out and started knocking on doors and selling roofing. My brother, who they were yelling at me about, he was one of the very first people that I hired, and now he's one of the best salespeople in our entire company. And so that's really the fulfillment for me, is being able to create something that changes people's lives, gives them the opportunities that I had or that my brother wasn't afforded, give people time to develop, give people people resources develop, never blame the person. Always look internally and say, how can we help this person develop? How can we help them get the result so that they can support themselves and their families? You know, that's still today, that's my why. Like, my vision is to help 2,000 people earn $500,000 a year and then help them understand what to do with that excess income so they can set themselves up for life and they never have to go through the financial hardships that me and my family went through when I was growing up. So going back a little bit, after I hired my brother, there's kind of three phases of entrepreneurship. There's the first phase is they laugh at you. I remember going and telling my best friend and his family that, you know, I was going to start a roofing company, and he was like, dude, are you okay? Like, you want to get a beer? Everything all right? Like, what are you talking about? You know, everyone's like, yeah, okay, Josh, cool. Like, sure. You know, after I started getting some results, my life started to change. I was able to move into a better apartment. I was able to buy a new car. My lifestyle started changing. People started to notice that and like, what's going on? Like, what are you doing differently? You know, congratulations. It's awesome to watch. It's awesome to see. So that's the second phase. Is first people laugh at you, then they congratulate you and applaud you. And the final phase is they ask you for a job. So everyone in my life that had known me prior to me setting out on this journey started asking me like what I was doing, and I told them, and they're like, well, can I come work for you? So I was able to help them, train them how to do what I was doing, and we built a business around the sales force, around the sales team, and we continued to scale that for the last 10 years, all the way from zero, from when I first started, all the way up to, you know, over $100 million a year in revenue, and the 20th largest roofing company in America, all from door knocking and training and investing in people. And that's still the mission today. Like I said before, the mission is to help 2,000 people do exactly that. So hope that gives you guys some perspective on where I'm coming from and kind of my story. And, you know, I think that a lot of times people see the end result and they just assume that, you know, it was luck or there was different things that happened along the way that you could never accomplish. But I promise you, there's nothing I haven't been through that would say that I should be getting some special result. The only difference is that I just never gave up when it got hard. There's so many times when I wanted to quit and I didn't. I just kept going. You know, the only reason that I kept going is because I knew that the people that I truly wanted to help needed me to keep going. It wasn't about me at that point. It was about other people. And I think if we can stop being so selfish and only looking at the things that we want and make it about others, whether that's family or friends or somebody else, you'll let yourself down 9 times out of 10. But it's really hard for people to let others down. It's much more difficult to let somebody else down. And if you can make your life about serving others, it's a lot simpler and a lot easier to make it through the hard times. And so now I want to just provide a platform to help people do that, provide them the support and the training and the experience that they need to change their life financially. I'm proud to say that we have done that and we're going to continue to do that. I'm excited for the next chapter. I hope this is helpful.